You had your own vision, obviously, when it came to real estate, but talk a little bit about it.
Sure. Well, first, thank you for the opportunity, and it's great to be here. I'm glad to be able to share a little bit of my vision and history with you and your audience. So to give you a little background, and this is probably the funniest part of this topic, every time we talk about it, we opened Crestico in 2008,
Hmm.
in the middle of the mortgage meltdown.
Hmm.
Um, and every time I say that, people are like, "Well, that must have been an interesting decision."
Yeah.
So the history is before I opened Crestico, I was part of the mortgage banking process, and everything was great. Mortgages were doing good. We went through the 2002 to 2007 ride, and housing economy was booming. And then 2008 happens, and when that happened, by that time I had learned a great amount of, I had gained a great amount of experience being in the mortgage industry.
Right.
So when the mortgage meltdown happened and mortgage banking operations were shutting down, obviously I saw a need for a solid operation where consumers can benefit from. So that's when we decided to open Crestico, and we started as a two-man shop in Costa Mesa, Orange County, um, just as a small real estate and mortgage brokerage, serving our past clients. At the time, we weren't even looking to expand. We just said, hey, we have our existing clients that they need us, they need our services.
Hmm.
They're still calling us and asking us questions in the middle of chaos that is happening back in 2008.
Right.
But we just opened it up, and I have to say those past clients were probably our greatest supporters that allowed us to grow Crestico from a two-man shop to an operation that we are today.
What kind of sets you guys apart, and why people really, will experience probably the best with Crestico?
Right. So let me tell you something and why I got into the industry and how it all started. Bought my first house back in 2000. And when I bought the house, I was clueless about the real estate or mortgage. I was just your typical first-time home buyer.
Hmm.
And I was referred to a real estate agent by someone that I knew who ended up also doing my mortgage at a time. And we went through the process. And when the process was completed, I was even more confused at the end of it compared to when we started. There were terms that were being thrown at me. There were costs that was being thrown at me. Industry language that was being used that I was absolutely clueless about.
Yeah.
So fast forward to 2002, 2003, when I got into the industry and I started learning the language by
Yeah.
trial and error, by going through the process. And that's when I realized that how bad and how poorly I was treated as a customer by the person that helped me buy my property.
Hmm.
So that became the cornerstone of my mission. I promised myself I will never treat any client, regardless of them being a first-time home buyer or an experienced investor, the way I was treated. Um, because I, on first hand, I felt the pain after the process. So one thing that actually sets us apart, and I will let my clients be the biggest. I feel like they are my biggest advocates, and mainly they're first-time homebuyers.
Hmm.
What we do is we go through the process of education. We don't just provide a mortgage planning process for the client. We what I like to call is a discovery call that I do with every single client to understand what their needs, wants, and likes are. And based on that discovery call that I do, I will put together a package that answers almost every question that they didn't even know they should be asking. So by the second time that we have a call with that client, there should be really nothing unanswered or confusing for them.